Time. What is time? Well, time is something that always moves forward, but can never really be brought back. A lot of things can change in a minute, in 10 minutes. Things can even change in an hour. But a lot of things can definitely change in the span of 4 years. When I started high school back in 2019, I was very excited and happy because I was starting a new chapter in my life, and I was getting ready for a new experience of mine. The first time I walked onto campus was honestly very nerve-wracking, but also very exciting. But my freshman year wasn't 100%. For the first few months of my freshman year, I was very lonely, often hanging out by myself, and it wasn't the most fun thing ever. Starting high school and being alone for a majority of the year is not exactly the most ideal thing in the world, but eventually it did start to get better. I eventually found new friends, and I was starting to actually have a good time in high school. My life was getting better. I made new friends. I was actually having a really good time in high school. But then everything went wrong at the same time. Online schooling and the COVID pandemic were not very good or ideal for me. I struggled a lot, and I did end up changing as a person. Although I was quiet, I was still pretty bubbly around my friends and still pretty happy kid. But during the pandemic, I became a lot more reserved and a lot less open to others around me. I ended up becoming very sheltered, and my personality had changed significantly than what it was the year prior. And it sucked. It wasn't very fun to be stuck at home, to watch your teacher on a screen and not really retain a good chunk of my knowledge. Because I struggled to pay attention, and I struggled to really I just struggled. I struggled a lot in school that year. Even though we slowly started going back, it wasn't 100% perfect, and a lot of my friends were not going to school in person during hybrid. A lot of them were going to school strictly online, and although I would go from school to online to back to school, a lot of my friends stayed strictly online. Even though I eventually also began to make friends again in my sophomore year of high school, it was sort of a repeat of my freshman year, with me being very alone and not being around a lot of people and not really having a lot of shoulders to lean on during this time at school. And it did suck a lot. It was not very fun. But then we went back to school my junior year. My junior year was mostly pretty normal. Not 100%, but it was mostly fairly normal. And I ended up changing a little bit for the better. I became a lot more open again, and I was more willing to be around people and start talking to people again. But it wasn't quite the same as my freshman year of high school. The gap of my sophomore year really left a stain on a lot of things, as I probably should have been feeling prepared in my junior. I had to relearn how to do a lot of things. For example, my first year of marching band in freshman year, I eventually, I got down a lot of the procedures very quickly, and I had a really fun time. But in junior year, I had to relearn all the things that I had done my freshman year, because my sophomore year we didn't have marching band, we didn't have that experience. I had to relearn a lot of things, like how to be in a classroom, doing a lot of homework. It was very weird, but other than that, my junior year was very good. I did end up going on a little bit of a redemption arc, as I like to put it, and I became a more open person, and I became a little happier. Although I wasn't 100% the happiest kid on earth, I was getting a lot better than how I felt during the pandemic. So there's this game that I like to play, and it's called Minecraft. Oh man. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. It's totally not like one of the biggest games in the world. So we back in the mind. The reason why I bring up Minecraft is because Minecraft is a very unique game. When you first start a new game, you don't really know what to do. You're kind of just thrown in there. You have to figure out what you want to do, and you're mostly on your own for a good chunk of the time. You slowly but surely figure out what you want to do, what you want to build, how you want to build, and how you want to play your game. When you start high school, you don't really know what to do. You're not really sure what the future holds. Something that I learned is that you can't just give up. You have to keep going forward. And even if I could go back and do some things differently, I wouldn't really change my senior year all too much. I became a lot more open my senior year. Sure, I'm not the most extroverted person in the world, but I don't need to be an extroverted person to have great friends on my side. If you had told me 4 years ago that I would have been sitting down and doing a video essay, recording myself for a project, I would have said that you were crazy and would have gone back to playing Minecraft or Overwatch or whatever other games I played when I was younger. But now I don't feel as scared or embarrassed about putting myself out there. I feel more positive about what I do. Mostly. I am very glad that my senior year was quite positive. Sure, I would have done some things differently had I known how limited my time truly was. And although I faced many trials and tribulations throughout my 4 years of high school, I honestly wouldn't have been the person I am today without those meaningful experiences. And I think younger me would be very happy where I am.